Where did Tom Moyane go wrong in his legal argument?
Well, where do I begin? So let me just take you back for a step. So what Tom Moyane was trying to do was lift the status quo, and that status quo being that he did not want the president to fire him on the basis of the interim report recommendation, because he felt as though the Commission of Inquiry was unlawfully established, given the fact that he was facing a disciplinary hearing as well as this Commission of Inquiry were going on at the same time. So he took this to the Constitutional Court. The Constitutional Court said that this is not within exclusive jurisdiction and he has no direct access to the apex court and he should rather try other avenues, which he has done so. However, the judge today basically saying that this is not an urgent matter, that the president had every right to fire him because the president is the one that hires and fires the Commissioner of Sars. The Commissioner of Inquiry, headed up by Judge Nugent, was in fact lawfully established, and the president had every right to act on the interim report's final recommendations. And the president can go ahead now and appoint a new commissioner. So Tom Moyane obviously practiced his constitutional right, and that is why he decided to go to the High Court. However, this judge and this court felt as though it was not an urgent matter and that Tom Moyane's case is not strong enough to lift the status quo and keep him suspended until his disciplinary hearing is over.
But from what Moyane's lawyer Eric Mabuza was saying to you in that clip that we played just a short time ago, they're going to keep this fight going. How far are they willing to go, given that they've already suffered 2 defeats, if you'll put it that way?
So apparently there's a Part B, because we asked them if they're going to be appealing this judgment, and they're saying that there's a Part B to the application. So this was Part A being they wanted to lift the status quo, and Part B, they didn't give any further detail as to what Part B entails. However, they did say they're going to go back and read the judgments and decide if necessary. I mean, the key words in that soundbite was that if necessary, they will present further applications of Part B. So they're obviously going to go back now and deliberate and decide on whether or not it will actually be worth it. The next move could possibly be for him to go to the Supreme Court of Appeal, but he will probably challenge this in the High Court still to figure out whether or not he has a case. I don't know what Part B entails though, because there was no full detail.
Let's come back to today then, because one of the things that stood out was the judge basically saying, and I'm paraphrasing here, that Tom Moyane was putting his personal interests above those of the country.
So that was something that was mentioned last week when the two heads were arguing their cases. And Tom Moyane's legal team basically saying that it will be no inconvenience towards the state if he be reinstated or rather remain as suspended commissioner. It will rather be an inconvenience for Tom Moyane to do so, to be fired, and nothing on the state. Then you had Judge Nugent's legal team saying, it's not just one warm body, which is Tom Moyane, that's going to be inconvenienced if he is fired. It is actually going to be 50 million people that are suffering here, because how many people pay taxes? And we know that in Judge Nugent's interim report, he was speaking about how much damage Tom Moyane actually caused at the revenue service, given the fact that there is about a 50 billion rand shortfall. So, his case was really, it was one where the judge basically said Tom Moyane was abusive in his conduct. He defamed the president as well as Judge Nugent, really giving a scathing judgment as to how Tom Moyane has presented himself, and that his case is not strong enough because the interest here is the nation and the public, given the fact that this is the revenue service and this is the purse of the country.
You've spoken briefly about Tom Moyane's tenure at SARS, which is what has led us to this point, and one cannot have this discussion without revisiting the hearings by the Nugent Commission, because a lot of the people who appeared there were saying that things were so bad at SARS that new leadership would bring much needed stability. And if this Tom Moyane issue is going to continue now, when we go into Plan B, that puts a further question mark, doesn't it, on the stability of SARS. We know McKinnon is acting presently, but they do need a permanent head.
And that literally points to how President Cyril Ramaphosa came in February, and he literally decided that he wants to suspend Tom Moyane because he's lost confidence in him, and that's why he established the Commission of Inquiry as well as the disciplinary hearing to try and figure out what is going on and to restore credibility at the Revenue Service. You cannot have a further revenue shortfall. It impacts South African citizens, it impacts service delivery, and we heard from July, from about June till about the end of November, all these witnesses coming in at the Commission of Inquiry speaking about what was going down when Tom Moyane was the Commissioner of SARS from 2014 until March this year. And, lots of testimonies about what went down and how things were constantly going wrong. Very key structured, units specifically looking at illegal tobacco being dismantled, people put into positions that were not supposed to be there, people, that were not supposed to be in very high key positions that were, placed there. So it's a situation where the president is really trying to restore credibility, where the president is trying to put a person that he trusts as the head of SARS, given the fact that this is, if I could say, the heart of our country, given the fact that it is the purse and it deals with so much money. And we've seen so much corruption unfolding at the Revenue Service.
Speaking of the president, have we had any reaction from the union buildings?
So I've tried to contact the president's spokesperson, but I haven't received any feedback yet, because the president will now need to act. The final report can be released now, given the fact that the judge ruled that the president can go forth and appoint a new commissioner, and the report can also be released, because that's two of the things that Tom Moyane was fighting against, that the president cannot appoint a new commissioner, and that the final report should not be released because they felt as though the Commission of Inquiry was unlawfully established.
So possibly the next big announcement on SARS from the presidency could indeed be the announcement of a new permanent commissioner.
It could be. So I don't think December is going to be a chill December this year.
All right, ENCA business reporter Heidi Jokos keeping a close watch across that story on the latest developments at SARS, and we'll continue to bring you the very latest on the story as and when we get it.